A warm welcome to all of you in this lecture number 4 of our module on ceramics. As you are well aware that we are discussing the course on processing of non-metals, and right now we are in the middle of our module number 3, that is ceramics. Before starting the discussion on ceramic powder preparation, this is the second lecture. One we have taken on ceramic powder preparation, the previous one. Before starting the discussion today, let me first revise that what we have covered till now. We have seen the basic properties of the ceramics, we have seen the comparison of the properties of ceramics, metals and polymers. We have seen that what are the distinct properties or characteristics of ceramic materials. The bonding, the type of bonding that is present in ceramics has also been highlighted, and the relation has been drawn between the bonding and the properties of the ceramics. Since our course is on processing aspects of the non-metallic material, our focus now onwards would be on the techniques or tools or methods that are employed to convert the ceramic raw materials into the ceramic products. Now, what are the various types of ceramic products? All of you know that in our previous lectures we have seen that the ceramics can broadly be classified into two broad categories. Now, what are those two classifications? Classification number 1 is based on the composition or the constituents of the ceramic material, that is of the materials of which the ceramic is made up of. So, on the basis of composition, if you remember, we have classified the ceramics into 4 broad categories. Now, what are those 4 broad categories? We have seen the ceramics may exist as silicates, oxides, non-oxides. In non-oxides we may have nitrides or carbides, and finally the glass ceramics. But the another important category which is relevant with today's lecture is the classification on the basis of applications. If you remember, on the basis of applications we have seen that there are high performance ceramics, there are household ceramics, cement, concrete, number of applications are there for the ceramic materials, and we have highlighted in 1 or 2 slides that what are the important application areas of ceramic material. So, we see ceramics all around us, we see roof tiles, floor tiles, then we see the pottery items, sometimes decorative items are there, flower vases are there. Then in the advanced category we have bioceramics, we have ceramics that are used in semiconductor devices, we have ceramics which are used for electrical insulation purposes. So, we see ceramics all around us. The important point for all of us to understand is that how the ceramic products are made, since the topic of our course is relevant to the processing aspects of ceramics. But before going to the processing aspects of any material, we should have knowledge about the basic of that particular material, that what is that material made up of, what type of bonding is present in that material, what type of mechanical, physical, chemical properties do that material possess. Because once we know about the properties of the material, then only we can convert that raw material into the final product in the most cost effective and highly efficient manner. If we do not know the properties of the material, we may use hit and trial methods to convert that raw material into the final product, and thus we may not be able to achieve our final product in a very cost efficient manner, and the quality may not be all that good, and the whole operation may not even be effective and efficient. So, in order to be effective and efficient in our operations, in order to make good quality ceramic products, in order to make cost effective ceramic products, our main objective was to understand the basic concepts related to the ceramics, and for that we have already engaged 2 or 3 discussions, that is ceramics 1 and ceramics 2. And then we have seen how a raw material is prepared for making a ceramic product. If you remember, in our previous lecture we have seen a number of techniques which are used for preparation of ceramic powders. To name a few, we have seen ball milling, roll crushing, gyratory milling or crushing, then we have seen jaw crushing. So different types of techniques are there which are used for producing the ceramic powders, but these type of techniques fall under one broad category, that is the mechanical type of techniques for producing the ceramic powder. There are chemical methods also that are used for producing the ceramic powders that we are going to see in today's lecture. But towards the end of our lecture today, our focus would be on the processing, that how the shape can be given to the ceramic products, what are the steps involved for giving a shape to a ceramic product, and what are the important types of ceramic product processing techniques or ceramic processing techniques. So with this introduction, let us now start our discussion today. So in today's lecture, our main focus would be the chemical methods of ceramic powder preparation and the fundamental or the basic aspects related to the processing of ceramic powders into the final product. So before going into the discussion of today's lecture, let us first see what we have covered in the previous class, and that is also relevant to today's lecture. The characteristics of the powders, because powders are the raw material for giving shape to the final ceramic product. So ceramic products are made up of ceramic powders. Now what type of powder we are choosing for making the ceramic product would dictate the properties of the product itself. So what are the important characteristics that a ceramic powder should have? Chemical composition, phase composition, particle size distribution, particle shape and agglomeration. So these are the important characteristics that have to be taken into account when we are producing or preparing a ceramic powder. We have seen that depending upon the final application of the ceramic product, we would be choosing all these parameters or characteristics accordingly. So if the performance is very we can say sophisticated or a high performance application ceramic product has to be made, which means that the product has been designed for a very sophisticated application or a very high end application or a very advanced application. In that case, we would choose all these characteristics very carefully. For example, chemical composition, we would like to have a very high purity chemical composition of our ceramic powder, which is going to be transformed or converted into the ceramic product. Phase composition, we may require a single phase composition only, multi-phase may not be desired. Then particle size, we can have a coarser particle, we can have a finer particle. So for high end applications, in many cases we may advocate the use of the fine ceramic particle, that is particle size should be less. Next is the particle size distribution. Particle size distribution means that we can have a wide range of the particle sizes within one sample. If we take a sample of a ceramic powder, if we find that there are x number of particles which are having the same size, there are y number of particles which are having the same size but different from the size that the particles with x have. So we have number of categories of sizes, then we say that the particle size distribution is very wide. On the contrary, we can have a narrow range of the particle sizes, or all the particles in the ceramic powder may be having the same diameter, nearly same diameter. So particle size distribution also in many cases we would see to it that the distribution is not very wide. Next is the particle shape. Sometimes we may advocate the use of a spherical size of a particle. Last is the agglomeration. We may advocate that the agglomeration of the particles should not take place, that is the lumps of particles should not be formed. So basically all these characteristics are very important to understand when we are going to convert a specific ceramic powder into a ceramic product. The raw material should be of good quality, then only we will get a good quality product. If there are some defects or the choice of these characteristics is not proper, according to the requirements of the final product. I am again emphasizing the point that we can have two diverse applications. Let us take an example. One of the application is a decorative item that we have to place in our display room, that is a decorative item, and the another ceramic product is a bioceramic or it is a biomedical implant. Now both these applications will have different requirements, and the characteristics of the powders that would be used for making these two diverse products, that is, one is a decorative item or a flower vase and the another one is a biomedical implant. So the type of powders that will go into the production of or the processing of decorative item would be different, and for a biomedical implant it would be different. And what would be different? The difference would be in the characteristics of the powders that have been chosen for making those products. So this is really important. Again I am emphasizing, in the last class also we have seen these particular characteristics. So the last, we can say, highlighted portion in this particular slide is the desirable characteristics depend upon the quality of the product and the application. Now whatever characteristics we are choosing for that particular powder would dictate the quality as well as would be relevant towards the application of that particular product for a specific application. So let us now go from this particular characteristics slide to the another slide where we would be seeing that how the methods for preparation of ceramic powders are classified. So processing of ceramic powders can broadly be done in two important stages or two important directions. We can use the mechanical direction to convert the raw ceramic part into a ceramic powder or a ceramic raw material into the ceramic powder, or we can follow the chemical direction to convert the basic, we can say, ingredients into the ceramic powder or the basic ceramic ingredients into the ceramic powder. So we can follow two different directions. We can choose a mechanical direction and we can choose a chemical direction. So preparation of ceramic powders or processing of ceramic powders can be done in two different manners. And if you remember, in our lectures on, in our third lecture of this particular course, that is processing of non-metals, we have seen, sorry, not on this particular course, in this particular module, the title of our course is processing of non-metals, and in that we are discussing module number 3. In module number 3 we are discussing ceramics, and in module number 3, in lecture number 3, the title was ceramic powder preparation, and in that we have seen that there are two ways to process the ceramic powders, the mechanical ways and the chemical ways. And in that particular lecture we have seen the mechanical methods of ceramic powder preparation, and if you remember, there were 4 to 5 different diagrams which we have seen in that lecture. We have seen the process of ball milling, we have seen the process of roll crushing, we have seen the process of hammer milling, we have seen the process of gyratory crushing, we have seen the jaw crushing mechanism. So different mechanisms or different methods or techniques were seen or discussed which are used for producing the ceramic powders, but the broad summary was that those were the mechanical methods of producing the ceramic powders. So ceramic powders can also be synthesized with the help of reactions. So chemical method of producing the ceramic powders involves the chemical reaction in a controlled state. So the reactions will take place, we can have solid state reactions, the reaction may take place in the liquid or in the solution form, and finally sometimes the vapor phase depositions are also used for generating the ceramic powders. Now depending upon the requirement, now what are the requirements basically? If you remember the previous slide, in previous slide we have seen few important points, that is the chemical composition, the phase composition, the particle size distribution, particle shape, and we have also seen the agglomeration or the state of agglomeration. So we have all these characteristics, and when we are processing the powder from the raw material, we have to keep in mind all these points in our mind, so that we are able to generate the powder with the desirable characteristics, because if we are able to generate the powder with the desirable characteristics, we would be able to make a good quality ceramic product. But if the powder lacks in some of the characteristics or in most of the characteristics, then the product that we will get out of that powder will not be of very good quality and may not also be usable for the desired application for which it has been made. So, basically this particular slide gives us an idea that we can follow two different paths for preparing the ceramic powders, that is the mechanical path or the mechanical direction of processing the ceramic powder and the chemical direction of processing the ceramic powder. So, in today's lecture we would focus primarily on the fundamental aspects of one or two methods which fall under the chemical category of processing of ceramic powders. Otherwise, there are large number of methods which can be used with large number of ceramics that can be produced. Since our focus in this particular course is on the processing aspects of ceramics or processing aspects of non-metals. So, since the we can say the summary is the processing part, but for the last 2-3 lectures on ceramics, our focus has been on the fundamental or the materials aspects of ceramic. So, now we want to quickly shift our attention from the materials aspects of ceramic towards the processing aspects of ceramic products. So, now we will see the chemical methods of processing the powders and quickly shift our attention towards the processing aspects of ceramic products. Now, this is we can say the introduction towards the ceramic powder preparation by the chemical methods. The ceramic powder preparation requires special handling in order to control the purity, particle size distribution and homogeneity. Now, with these criteria we will use the chemical reaction to produce the ceramic powders. So, important point to note is that all these points have to be borne in mind when the chemical reaction or any method from the chemical category is chosen for producing the ceramic powders. That what is our objective? Our objective is to make a pure powder, our objective is to make a particle size, fine particle size, we may require to narrow down the particle size distribution, we may require the homogeneous powders without any contamination. So, these are some of the objectives with which we set out to use the chemical methods of preparing the ceramic powders or processing the ceramic powders. So, these factors play an important role in defining the properties of the ceramic part. So, once we have a good quality raw material, the final product that we will get would also be of good quality. One of the important points to note is that the conversion process should also be of good quality, because sometimes we may have a good quality raw material, but the conversion process is faulty, the product that we will get would not be of the desired quality. So, we will see what are these conversion processes, that is how the raw ceramic powder is converted into the final product, because that is the main objective of our module on ceramics that we would be seeing. But if the raw material is not properly does not have the desirable characteristics, then it is sure that the final product that we will get would not be of good quality. So, all these properties are our objective, that whenever we are choosing a chemical method of processing a ceramic powder, we should ensure that the powder that we are getting is good in purity, the particle size distribution and homogeneity. It is possible to distinguish finished ceramics made up of harvested materials from fully synthetic prepared starting materials. So, we can say it is important that two important points are there in this particular point. One important point is that it is possible to distinguish finished ceramics made of naturally harvested material. So, whatever product has been made, we can very easily figure out that whether it has been made from the naturally harvested ceramics or from the fully synthetic prepared starting materials. So, basically what we mean to say here is that we can get the ceramics from the raw materials may be existing in nature. and synthetically also we can process the ceramic materials, that is through the reactions, and finally use these ceramic powders to process the ceramic parts. And it is easy to distinguish between the two, that these powders are coming from the naturally occurring minerals and this powder has been synthesized through the chemical reactions. Now, chemical methods can be classified into a number of ways, because we may have solid state reactions taking place, we may have liquid solution reactions taking place, or we may have vapor or gas phase reactions. So, but here I have highlighted only 4 or 5 different methods which are commonly used for processing of ceramic powders using the chemical reactions approach. So, some of the methods are solid state reactions, Sol gel method, combustion synthesis, precipitation method, and the list is endless. There are number of methods which can be used to convert the to synthesize the ceramic powders. So, we will see 1 or 2 methods very quickly. Solid state reaction process. So, the solids do not react with solids at room temperature. This is very, we can say, obvious statement. We see so many solids around us and they do not start reacting with one another at room temperature, which means that we require very high temperature for two solids to react among themselves. So, solid state reaction means that the reaction would be taking place between two solids, solid to solid reaction. So, the solids do not react with solids at room temperature, that is first important point to note. But in order to process the ceramic powders, we need to make this reaction possible. And how this is made possible? It is made possible at the elevated temperatures. So, the high temperatures must be used to facilitate the solid state reaction. So, basically we will have two solid raw materials, these would be reacted in the solid state only. So, these materials would be heated to a high temperature, the temperature would certainly be less than the melting point of these individual solid raw materials. So, first important point to note here is that the solids do not react among themselves at room temperatures, high temperatures are required. Then the direct reaction of solids to form the final product. So, in solid state reaction, the direct reaction between the two solid raw materials takes place to form the reaction product, which is our ceramic powder. So, the direct reaction of solids to form the final product takes place and we get our reaction product in the reaction product, that is our ceramic powder. Solid reactions are simple to perform. So, one of the, we can say, advantages of this particular process is that these reactions are easy to perform, but there are few limitations also of solid state reaction processes that we would be seeing in the subsequent slides. Raw materials are often readily available at low cost. So, the cost involvement is also not that high in this particular method, but we can say that it is easier said than done. There would be certain important operating conditions that have to be kept in mind, so that we are able to generate good quality powders, because we have seen that the process chosen for converting the ceramic raw material into the ceramic powder should take into account the desirable powder characteristics. That is, the powder characteristics are the chemical composition of the powder, the phase composition of the powder, the particle size of the powder, the particle size distribution of the powder, the agglomeration of the ceramic powder particle. So, whatever method is chosen, all these desirable characteristics are the final objective. With these objectives, the method has to operate, and here we will see that there are chances that some of these desirable characteristics may not be achieved. So, the raw materials are often readily available, which is one of the advantages. It is easier to perform, the reaction is easier to perform, it is also, we can say, one of the advantages, but there are few limitations also, as I have been highlighting, that we have, we can say, we have the ceramic raw materials. This material I want to convert into ceramic powder, and for converting this raw material into the ceramic powder, I have a plenty of choices. I have number of processes which can be used to convert this ceramic raw material. It can be a naturally occurring mineral, or it can be, we can say, any other form of ceramic raw material. It has to be converted into the ceramic powder. A number of processes exist. If you remember, in the previous lecture also we have seen that there are mechanical methods of like roll crushing or gyratory crushing or jaw crushing, number of methods to convert the ceramic raw material into the final ceramic powder. What are the objectives? With what objectives? How we can say judge that this process is good. So, the judgment basically is on the basis of the powder characteristics, that what type of powder we have been able to generate. And on your screen, why I have emphasized this point again, on your screen you can see the last point, that is one of the limitations of solid state reaction process is that it requires high temperatures, very high temperatures are required. Then chances of contamination are also there. So, the purity may not be achieved. Then chances of non-homogeneity are also there. So, these are some of the important limitations, we can say, of the solid state reaction process. So, we have to choose the process in such a way that whatever desirable characteristics are there for the powders, that those are achieved, or the maximum desirable characteristics are achieved. So, in solid state reaction process we can see that there are advantages, it is easy to do, or the solid state reaction is easy to perform, and the raw materials are also available at a low cost. But the important points that are there are that we require very high temperature, contamination is a problem, and non-homogeneity may exist in the ceramic powders which have been made by the solid state reaction process. So, this process has got advantages also, but it has got certain limitations also. Now, let us see with the help of a diagram how we can represent the solid state reaction process. On your screen you can see A and B, these are the two, we can say, solids, solid A and solid B, and there is a original interface that is present in the two solids. Then it has been converted into a bigger interface or a reaction product layer, this green portion that I am highlighting with the help of the cursor, this is the reaction product layer. So, this is A again, that is solid A, this is again solid B, and this is the reaction product layer, that is a solid state reaction or a solid reaction has taken place, and here we are getting a reaction product layer. So, this is our ceramic which has been formed. So, this is the original interface, here also we have, this is the original interface, but because of the diffusion process, counter diffusion of ions A and B, counter diffusion is shown with the help of these arrows. This is arrow number 1, this is arrow number 2. So, the counter diffusions of ions of A and B at this interface generates a reaction product layer, which is, we can say, our solid reaction product or a ceramic powder that we want to generate. So, this is a, we can say, very basic fundamental schematic representation of the solid state reaction. Now, solid state reactions, basically the rate of reaction, because the rate at which the layer would form or the reaction products would be forming, that depends upon the rate of nucleation. Always nucleation will start the process or the reaction. The rates of diffusion of the ion, as we have seen that the ions are diffusing from A to B and B to A. So, the rates of diffusion of ions as well as the surface area contact between the reacting solids. So, this is a solid state reaction, two solids are reacting among themselves, but not at the melting point. The temperature is always high, but it is lower than the melting point of the individual, we can say, solids. So, surface area of contact between the reacting solids is also very important. Now, in order to, we can say, improve the solid state reactions, what should be our objective? Surface area is an important point. So, the surface area contact between the reacting solids dictates the rate of reaction. So, in order to improve the rate of reaction, what we can do? we can try to improve the surface, not improve, sorry, to increase the surface area. That can be done by grinding the, we can say, solid into very fine particles, so that the reaction takes place. So the surface area contact between the reacting solids, we want to improve the surface area so that the contact is increased. We can like to increase the rate of nucleation, we would like to increase the rate of diffusion of ions, so that we are able to generate the ceramic powder product. So basically the rate of reaction depends upon the rate of nucleation, the rates of diffusion of ions, and the surface area contact between the reacting solid, and our objective is to how to increase the rate of nucleation, how to improve the surface area contact between the two reacting solids, and how to increase the rate of diffusion of the ions from the two reacting solids. So if we are able to control this process properly, we would be able to get a ceramic powder of a very high purity, and we would be able to get a uniform size of particles, and the particle size distribution may also not be very wide. So if the process is properly controlled, we would be able to achieve the desirable characteristics of the powder, and once we are able to get the desirable characteristics of the powder, the final product that we will be making out of these powders would also be of very high quality. So now coming on to the next method, that is the precipitation method of preparing or processing or synthesizing the ceramic powders. So in this method, a solid product is achieved from a liquid solution. So in our previous example that we have seen, or the previous method that we have seen, that is solid state reaction, the reaction was taking place between two solids, but here the raw material, or we can say the starting material, is a liquid solution. So in this method, a solid product is achieved from a liquid solution. So the reactions are initiated by altering the temperature and pressure of the solution. So in this particular, we can say that this particular method falls under the liquid stage or liquid state processing of ceramic powders. Why? Because in this, the our starting solution, starting material is a solution. So in this method, a solid product is achieved from a liquid solution. So first and foremost, we should have a liquid solution. The liquid solution, the precipitation would take place there, the reactions are initiated. Now how the reaction would take place, how the reactions are initiated? Two important guidelines are there, that is to control the temperature and the pressure of the solution. So the reactions are initiated by controlling or changing the temperature and pressure of the solution. So the chemical precipitation agents may also be used in some cases. So we have to encourage the precipitation, and for that chemical precipitation agents may sometimes also be used. So we can alter the temperature, we can alter the pressure, or we can use the chemical precipitation agent. So we will be able to get a solid material from the liquid solution. In many cases, hard agglomerates have the tendency to form during this process of precipitation. There are step by step procedure for this precipitation method, but we will not go into the detail, but the basic summary of the method is that we have a liquid solution. In order to we can say a reaction to take place, we alter the temperature and pressure. Sometimes we may add some chemical precipitation agents also, but there are tendency that sometimes hard agglomerates may form. Now what can be done if hard agglomerates are formed? We have to go for the grinding process in order to decrease the size of the particles or the ceramic particles that have been formed, and grinding would certainly add up to another step in the processing of ceramic powder, which would subsequently add up to the cost of the whole conversion process from the liquid solution to the ceramic powder. So summary of precipitation method has only been highlighted here. Again, I would like to summarize the whole precipitation method as that we have a liquid solution and temperature reactions are initiated by controlling the or by altering the temperature and pressure. Sometimes in order to, we can say, facilitate the reaction, chemical precipitation agents may also be added, and if the hard agglomerates are formed, grinding process can be done in order to achieve the ceramic powder with the desirable characteristics. So, we have seen till now that there are different methods which can be used for processing the ceramic powders. Now, a question may be there that why we have emphasized so much on production of ceramic powders or the characteristics of ceramic powders. Again and again I am emphasizing this point that the quality of the raw material would define the quality of the final product, and what is the raw material that is going into the, we can say, final product or the conversion process, that is basically a ceramic powder, specifically in case of ceramics. So, ceramic powder preparation is an important step in the production of ceramic products or the processing of ceramic products. So, we have devoted adequate time in trying to understand that how a ceramic powder can be produced, what are the objectives or the desirable characteristics, or what are the important criterion on the basis of which we should choose our method of getting the ceramic powder. So, we have seen two types of methods are there for getting the ceramic powders, that is the mechanical method and the chemical method. In mechanical method, we have tried to understand with the help of diagram some of the methods such as ball milling, roll crushing, gyratory crushing, jaw crushing and hammer milling. Number of methods we have seen. I have drawn few diagrams and tried to explain the basic working mechanism of these methods. So, all these methods fall under the mechanical method of producing the ceramic powders. Then towards the chemical method, I have highlighted 4 to 5 different methods. We have seen the summary of two methods that can be used, that is solid state reaction method and the precipitation method. There can be other methods also like Sol gel method. We can have the CVD process also for producing the ceramic powders, but we will not go into the details of all those methods. But with this we come to the end of one of the important aspects of this particular module, that is this particular module, that is module number 3, is focusing on ceramics as the materials. So, we have discussed the materials aspects of ceramics, we have seen the raw material aspects of the total process development of ceramic products, that is there are different stages in which the ceramic product would be formed. We have focused on the first stage of the total cycle, that is the preparation of the raw material, that is the ceramic powders in this case. So, our focus till now has been on the first stage of the total product development or product, we can say product in our case is the ceramic part or the ceramic product. So, for producing that ceramic product, we have highlighted first stage, that is how to get the raw material which can be converted to get us a desired ceramic product. Now, from now onward our focus would be on the tools and techniques or methods that are used for converting this raw material into the final product. So, now let us see the second stage of this particular module on ceramics, that is processing of ceramic parts. So, generally it involves 3 basic steps. Step number 1 is the ceramic powder preparation, which we have already covered in our previous lecture also. Today also we have seen 2 important methods of processing the ceramic powder using the chemical route. So, ceramic powder preparation, here we have mentioned 3 important, we can say, which are named, the names are used interchangeably, that is crushing, milling and grinding. So, all these we can say methods fall under the mechanical method of getting the ceramic powders. Today we have seen 2 important methods, that is solid state reaction and the precipitation method of producing the ceramic powders. So, those methods can also be used for producing the ceramic powder. So, the first step basically is the ceramic powder preparation, which we have already covered. I think all those who have heard the lecture number 3 of this module and today's lecture have an idea that what are the methods that can be used for producing the ceramic powders. The first stage is known to all of us. Stage number 2, that is mixing powder particles with additives. Now powder has been produced, now we require certain additives. Now the question is, why we need to add certain additives into the ceramic powders in order to convert them into the final ceramic product or ceramic part. The additives are added in order to give or impart certain special characteristics to the final product. So for that particular purpose, the additives are added into the powders. So this we will see in detail in our subsequent lectures, when we will see some of the important methods of processing the ceramic parts. So the second stage is, we can say, blending of the ceramic powders, in which we will be adding some additives. And the third stage is the shaping, drying and firing the material. The third stage means that we have to give the desired shape to the product or the ceramic part. So suppose we want to make a dental implant. Now depending upon the shape of the dental implant, we would give the desired shape to our ceramic raw material, and once the shape has been given, it would be dried down, because sometimes we may not be requiring certain binders. So during the drying up process, those binders may be eliminated from the process. And finally the firing the material. So firing the material, maybe sintering process can be done. So shaping, drawing and firing the material is done in order to get the final product. So there are number of processes that are used for processing the ceramic parts, but these are the three maybe basic steps which are done in order to get the ceramic part. Finally we will see what are the important ceramic processing techniques. We can see we have hot pressing, isostatic pressing, slip casting, extrusion, injection molding. So all these processes are the techniques which are used for processing the ceramic parts or ceramic products. So we would be discussing the basic details or the working principles as well as the application areas of these processes, along with the advantages and limitations of these processes. As you are well aware that injection molding and extrusion are two of the very important and commercially available processes used for processing of plastics, and these processes we would also be covering in our discussions on the processing of polymers as well as the processing of polymer matrix composites. So these are very versatile processes which can also be used for processing of ceramic parts. So basically our focus now onwards would be on the processing aspects of ceramic materials. So let us now see that what we have covered till now and what we are going to cover in future. So we have covered till now the basic aspects of ceramic materials. We have seen that how the ceramics compare with the metals, what are the distinct characteristics of ceramics which make them a different material as from metals as well as from polymers. So that is one important point that we have highlighted. Then we have highlighted the important mechanical, physical and chemical properties of the ceramics. Then we have highlighted the type of bonding that is present in the ceramics. We have tried to correlate the bonding with the properties of the ceramics. Then we have seen that in order to convert a raw ceramic into the final product or a usable product, we require to process the ceramic into powder form. For that we have seen the processes that can be used for preparation of ceramic powders can be broadly classified into two categories, that is the mechanical type of processes and the chemical methods. Within mechanical we have seen there are different mechanisms for crushing the powder or milling the powder or grinding the powder, and similarly the processes are also called ball milling, we can say jaw crushing, gyratory crushing, roll crushing. And there are chemical methods also. There are a wide variety of chemical methods that exist, but we have just highlighted or summarized two important methods. That is, in today's class we have seen solid state, we can say solid state reaction, as well as the precipitation method. And then finally we have seen that what are the important steps involved in making a ceramic product once we have the powder available with us. So, we have a ceramic powder available with us, that is the first stage number 1, ceramic powder preparation. Second is blending of the ceramic powder with the additives, and final is the shaping, firing and drawing, or shaping, drawing and firing of the ceramic part to get the final ceramic product. In this particular slide we are seeing some of the processes like hot pressing, we can have wet pressing also, high isostatic pressing, slip casting, extrusion, injection molding. These are the processes which are used for converting the ceramic powders into the final ceramic products, and in our subsequent lectures we would be focusing our attention on the process details of these processes, with emphasizing on the advantages, limitations and the applications of the various ceramic products. Thank you.